Here we go. Hello, everybody. It is Star Raptor here, and we're back for another live video roundtable. This time for something that I didn't expect to do, quite honestly, and that's for Zack Snyder's Justice League. We're going to be talking spoilers, obviously, if you didn't realize that already from the title of this video. And I'm joined by Milton and Ben. So yeah, we're not talking about Star Wars for a change. We're talking about DC. And man, oh man, this thing really blew me away. 4 hours long, 4 hour cut of a movie that was originally out in 2017. And to see how far things have come from the directorial change from Joss Whedon to Zack Snyder. I just want you guys to give me your initial thoughts right off the bat. We'll start with Milton. Everything you liked, how many times you've seen it, when did you watch it? Just lay it all on me, man.
Yeah, I've watched it 3 times in total so far. Look, it's no secret. I love this movie. This movie's amazing. Clearly, it's above par and 10 times better than what we got in 2017. I feel like Zack Snyder tells great stories and great visuals. He's always been known for that. And I tweeted this the other day. If Warner Brothers would have released this 4 years ago, they would have made $1 billion. I don't want to hear anyone that tells me, "Oh, it's too long and it doesn't work." It works. Clearly, the fans have accepted it. The critics have accepted it. If we were able to be in theaters 100% of the time, it still would have made the money it would have made. I'm just going to say it how it is. And there's been examples of 3 to 4 hour movies released in theaters. And I've named plenty of them in plenty of tweets of like Gone with the Wind, Spartacus, Lord of the Rings, the Avengers Endgame. Like, come on, it's there. There's precedent set. So, loved it. Can't wait to get more into the spoilers.
Oh yeah, I think this movie is phenomenal. I'll come in hot on this take, but I'm not saying this is the best quality team up superhero movie of all time. To me, I still think that's the original Avengers movie. Mm-hmm. But this is my personal favorite superhero team up movie of all time. Just because I love the characters. I usually prefer a lot of the DC stuff a little more, just because I like the characters. I like the heroes and villains just better in general for DC. But this movie in particular was a blast, like start to finish. As we said, for 4 hours long, I kind of also thought 4 hours, when we looked at the timestamp, it was like, oh, maybe it's going to be, 3:30 and like 30-minute credits, or something like that. But no, it was 4 hours on the dot, and start to finish, it flowed really well, and I absolutely loved it, and I can't wait to get into talking about all of this with you guys.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't watched already, I put out my review, and I gave it a 9 out of 10. I really thought this is one of the best superhero movies, and I've been thinking about this movie a lot. I've only seen it the first time, and I planned on setting the alarm for like 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning to watch it before work, and whatever reason, I woke up at 3 and I was like too excited. I was like, you know what? I'm going to just watch it now. They just literally put it on because we're on the East Coast. If you guys aren't familiar with us here, we're on the East Coast. So we're 3 a.m. I believe is when they put it up. So I was like, F it. They probably just put it up anyway. Let me just watch this thing. So I got up at the wee hours of the morning and watched this thing, and it did not disappoint. I was not sleepy or anything. I was like automatically engaged. And it's a really nice thing that this guy, Zack Snyder, got to see his vision fulfilled. He had this whole thing planned out. If you watch Man of Steel, BVS, especially the ultimate cut of BVS, and then go right into Zack Snyder's Justice League, it's like a trilogy, right? Like these things build up on top of one another. And I was just so taken aback by how mythic and how just epic this thing looked. The way that the slow-mo obviously is his thing, but also just the look of it, like being like a little darker. If you compare certain scenes from 2017's Justice League compared to this, the same scenes look completely different. So that's something that I immediately noticed. Let's kind of get into like what were some of the biggest turnaround additions in this Snyder cut that you guys want to talk about first, because there's quite a many on my list here.
Right. Well, I'll go first with this one. Yeah, so like I think just a lot of it is for me were the character moments, like a lot of the little stuff that we didn't get in 2017's version. And I mean, I've listened to other reviewers that didn't like the film that were like, "Oh, we didn't need certain things," and like for example, one of the reviewers said that the whole Bruce Wayne on the mountain and him by the fire was unnecessary, and him looking over the cliff was unnecessary, or those women who were singing the Irish Celtic song whenever Iron or Aquaman got in the water was unnecessary. It's like no, we needed to see how these characters were perceived in that universe. We need to see how those people in the Icelands were worshiping the Aquaman. To them he was godlike. Those small character moments we got with all of our main heroes was essential to who they are and why they were teaming up together. We need to see why Aquaman was so resistant at first to be a part of the team, or why Cyborg was so upset with his father about him becoming a monster. But as the movie progressed, the more the character moments we got to understand, oh, these people actually went through some stuff in life, and it's not easy for them to be a team. But once they started to figure things out, it meshed well together. Another difference to me that I saw was the action. The action was a complete 360. I thought it was excellently shot. It was well done. Oh my goodness, Wonder Woman's intro. I went back and watched the original version in 2017 compared to today. Oh my goodness! Like she's amazing. Like just seeing how Zack Snyder brings out that fierceness in the characters and their ferocity and their action and their emotions was amazing. And like so, there's more I can say to this, but overall the film itself compared to 2017 was just an overall just. I don't have the words to say. Like it was amazing. It was amazing to see that Zack Snyder took a lot of care and he had a lot of understanding of who these characters were.
Yeah, this is the movie I think that DC fans have been waiting for a live action Justice League, because when this thing came out in 2017, it was like a whimper. Like it came out and like a lot of people didn't even probably bother seeing it in theaters because they heard the bad reception. It was like it's not even worth my money and my time to go see this thing in a movie theater. And here we go with a brand new era of storytelling with this HBO Max and streaming platforms with Disney Plus. We're seeing how well Mandalorian and WandaVision are doing, and now HBO Max has their flagship. This is the thing that's going to get people to subscribe to HBO Max, and it is awesome because now we have this kind of storytelling where we can have long form 4-hour cuts of movies brought to us that maybe weren't possible logistically, and for just people not wanting to see a 4-hour movie. Warner Brothers probably wouldn't have put this out in the theater if they could have, because it's just too long and they're just not sure that they would make the return on the investment.
Right.
But something like this where you can pause it, like I paused it like maybe halfway through, a little bit more than halfway through, and what I really like, and we'll talk about this real quick, is the different way they split up this in parts. Ben, before we started recording, you were talking about how you enjoyed the way they split this thing up in parts. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, for sure. So for me, I'm glad it wasn't split up into separate episodes, like where you just have to go to next. I'm glad it just kept flowing. But I really like the fact it did say part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, and so on throughout the movie. Because with the movie being so long, like sure we all loved it, but it's nice getting almost even though it's literally just a split second, but just little split second breaks throughout the movie itself. Because then it's we all sit here and we'll binge watch Game of Thrones or Mandalorian or whatever show you want to throw in there. And it's almost the excitement of the episode starting over or a new episode starting again. So it was almost like that. I think that's another reason why the movie flowed so well. Was it was almost like you were getting that little bit of like excitement over again, like ooh, we're at the next part, we're at the next part. And it just kept building and building. And I think from each part it got better and better to the very final minute of the movie. It kept getting better. And I just thought that was one of the most like charming parts about the movie was even though it was a solid, it was a full movie. It still was broken up into parts like that. And I think a lot of people might find that enjoyable as well. Because say for maybe the general audience, people like you know an aunt or uncle or someone watching this, they can be like, oh, I'll pause it at part 3 and then get back to it to watch part 4 you know tomorrow or the next day. Or you could literally split this movie up into whatever, like 7 episodes basically, if you want to do it that way. So literally you could watch it for a week if you want. I mean, it doesn't matter. So I thought it was a really good part of the movie as a whole. And you know, just to echo Milton's points in his initial statements, all the character moments throughout this movie were brilliant. Like I absolutely loved one of my favorite parts. You brought it up, Milton, was the Batman sequence at the beginning, because seeing him having to go through the mountains and all that, like that whole sequence. I think you know a lot of people may view that as like you said, it's just extra shots or whatever. But to those village people, from us on the outside looking in, most likely to those village people, they probably wouldn't believe anybody would be able to make it past that. Right. And then them seeing Batman come in, or I guess Bruce Wayne come in and surpass that obstacle. I'm sure they were starting to look at like, who the heck is this stranger? We already have this guy coming out of the ocean. Now we have this guy coming over the mountains. Like, what's going on here? So I'm sure that's why they were all looking at him and stuff. Like, wow. It's like those character moments to really show how badass these characters were. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, so that's a really great part you brought up, because I almost forgot about that intro with Batman, because various parts in this, I thought it was like Lord of the Rings. Like, I got that Lord of the Rings feeling. Yes. So you see that epicness, that epic shot, like helicopter shot of him walking, like we see many times in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Yep. But that was something that we didn't see, obviously, and it's moments like that really set the tone, that really set like the gravitas of the situation here in a movie. And when, again, we're going to keep comparing to 2017, it's like you got this 2-hour movie that's squeezed together, and all these parts are hacked out that really needed to be there for the story to actually have like really strong resonance and stakes in the story. So
there's so many things after watching this movie. One thing I will say, and I'm sure people may argue this against me or whatever, but the Cyborg storyline should have never been cut out. Like that, his father played such a significant role in how Cyborg's development was portrayed throughout. How Cyborg was the key pretty much to the team, besides Superman's return. But like Cyborg, again, and Zack Snyder was right from day one. He's the heart of the film.
Yeah.
And I swear, I think if they kept the Cyborg stuff in the original cut, maybe it would have been taken. The reception would have been a little differently. Might have been lukewarm because there was a lot of rich storytelling with Victor Stone. Just the relationship he had with his mother was significant. And she's only in the movie for a couple minutes, but for that 3 or 4 scenes that they had together was powerful. You got to see the connection he had with his mother, the lack of connection he had with his father. He was craving that connection he wanted with his father. Like, just a small moment, they're in the car. The mom's talking to him about, hey, your dad wanted to be here. You see him start crying because he's like, don't make excuses. Like, he needs to be here. And it's like we need to see our heroes show that vulnerability. Like, we need to see that. That's a great thing that Zack Snyder brought out, and that made us connect with Cyborg to understand like I'm this monster. I need to figure out who I am now. Because I lost my mother, I lost my humanity. I still may not even have my father anymore. Like, metaphorically. But come to find out, his father was with him the whole time. Just that last couple minutes of the film doing the epilogue with the video or the recorder, he's like, let me talk to you now as a father. Which was powerful. I was like, holy shit, I'm going to start crying. It was amazing to hear that. So it's just, again, I go back to the character moments that would cut out, unnecessarily cut out. Like Warner Brothers. what were you thinking back in 2017? I forgive you now because you gave us a movie.
Yeah.
But back
Yeah.
then, you screwed up. So
Here's what I think happened, and I might have heard this from someplace else, I forget where, but it's like the likes of, okay, so like Justice League 2017, obviously there was executives meddling in the creative vision, obviously.
Right.
They wanted to go for like the super mainstream. Obviously they were going for that Avengers feel that was on the tip of everybody's mind, like, oh yeah, let's make it brighter colors and do complete opposite of what Zack Snyder did, to completely abhor his vision or whatever. And then we get this, and this is basically how this is, where it's nice, and I feel like this is aimed for more of the hardcore fans.
yes,
There's a lot of moments in here that aren't necessarily explained for the viewer, but that's cool because, like, if you are in the know, you understand what's happening with these gods and different things like that are showing up. So that is, I think, why a lot of these DC people, the fandom, are really loving this thing, because it's like, oh, this is what we've been waiting for. They are really appeasing the fans with all these things. You talked a lot about Cyborg, and I will say he was my like favorite thing about the original 2017 cut. So all this other stuff is like, yes, like exactly. Yeah. Why is this cut out? Lack of time. They needed to do it, I guess, for whatever stupid financial reason. But I also really like the part with Aquaman, the part with Valko, and like it seemed like, okay. It would have been nice to get these individual stories, like having an Aquaman movie and a Cyborg and a Flash movie beforehand, but I would say they actually pulled it off with the Snyder cut. They were able to actually give you enough inside the character, or enough of an origin, or not even an origin, because the Flash, he was just automatically fast. Like Aquaman, you just assume what he can do, and Cyborg. Okay, so Cyborg had like a true origin explanation. In this story, but everybody else, it seemed like their universes were really tied in with the writing. You're talking about Aquaman, and about, they mentioned his brother, Orin, or whatever, Orin, and about the surface battles. He was already starting to screw up with there. And Barry Allen, I really liked him a lot more in this one. He's got the jokes, and there's got to be jokes in there, but that was good that they toned it down. There wasn't any stupid Superman jokes or Aquaman jokes. Like, whoever was more serious, they stayed serious, but Flash was the guy that actually kind of lightened the tone a little bit, and it didn't overdo it, in my opinion, like he did the first one.
Yeah, I was going to say to Ben. I mean, I think the humor worked in this. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Ben?
Oh yeah, 100%. That's literally what I was just about to get to. I think the humor they used in this worked really well. And the humor they didn't use, that they cut out from the previous movie, made the movie that much better.
Yeah.
Because one big example. I mean, it stuck out like a big time sore thumb. Was the scene. I mean, it's definitely one of my favorite scenes from the first Justice League. I can say that. I didn't really like that movie. But it's the scene where Superman's coming back to life and he's fighting the League, and you know, when he's fighting all of them. You know, when it's getting toward the end of the fight, he grabs Batman and he's like, you know, you can't let me live, you can't let me die. That line was totally cut out of there. So that was nice. And then even the little kind of corny joke that was in there as well, when Batman's like, Alfred, bring in the big guns, and then it cuts to Lois, and you know, it's supposed to be like a ha Marvel joke. You know, I'm so glad they cut that out.
I forgot about that.
They cut out the entire scene where Aquaman's flirting with Wonder Woman when he's sitting on the lasso of truth or whatever. No, they cut that out, and you know, all that stuff. And you know, but like you said, the humor in this movie, it felt natural. It worked really well. It all landed well. Like you said, Chris, when it comes to the characters who were serious stayed serious, and the characters who weren't, like the Flash, you know, they had their joke moments, but it wasn't you know over the top. Like I you know, even with Batman being you know, pretty much serious most of the time. You know, I like that he still has a little bit of personality when you know the Flash is like, "What's your power?" and he's like, "I'm rich."
Yeah. I'm rich. I love how they left that in there.
I thought that's good because it still shows Batman's like cocky, Bruce. He's cocky Bruce Wayne. Like he knows he's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So like
Or
that,
the satellite joke. He's like
I have six.
you have a satellite? You have six. Like it was nothing. And
Yep,
Barry's
that-
reaction is like, oh, okay, this guy.
Yep. That one. You also have the whole scene at the end when he he's like, I bought the bank. That like that's all great. That's a really great humor, but it's natural where it's not just like forced, haha little jokey scenes that are unnecessary. So I really thought that was great. And from like that perspective, it's interesting just to see what specifically was Zack Snyder's and what was Joss Whedon's, because Zack Snyder said he was not going to use a single frame of Joss Whedon's cut for this movie. So it's interesting looking to see what's in the original one compared to this, just to see what was trimmed out of the movie.
I think basically what happened, what you mean by that is like by the film grain itself. Like if I compared like watching, because it's on there still, the HBO Max 2017 version. I looked and it's like way brighter, so I think that's what he technically means. Is like, yeah, my I have a different filter on the entire film, so technically not one thing, but there are similar like actual camera angles and things that are happening. But it's still mind-boggling how that's able to happen.
Chris, you're right though, because even like the last battle, like the sky is not red. Like it was that darkish blue. Like he had in the trailers when the first movie first came out in the trailers. I think even like the shots that we got to see that were still in the movie from 2017, those are all Zack's. Because all the stuff I'm hearing about too, because like everything that people liked in 2017 were all Zack stuff. And then even compared to now, like it's things that still is Zack that he tightened up, that he expanded upon. Even speaking on the humor, a lot of the humor worked for me. I didn't feel like it was unnecessary. I thought the visuals, the CGI was on point. Man, can we talk about Steppenwolf's CGI?
We're gonna talk about all the villains and everything.
I'm sure we'll get to that. But the CGI was fire. The overall mythology in this movie was amazing. That was dope. And like another big takeaway from me is how you can tell that Zack Snyder cares about these characters, and he knows how these characters operate. Especially when Superman showed up, which was Boss. Yep. I'm not impressed. Like when he said that, I was like, "Oh, it's a wrap." Like I'm not impressed. Punched him in the face. Superman's ferocious. I didn't realize he was that ferocious like that. Because he just kept punching. Even when spoiler alert, they were about to die. The sink, whatever, the box is coming together. He was still nailing the shit out of him. I'm like, Superman, do you not understand about the box is gonna get together? He don't care. He's just punching.
Well, Milton, even before he started punching, him stopping the axe, just stopping it and freezing. Like that part when he stopped the axe, I was like, oh no. Superman's like, oh no, bitch, here I am. And it was just so good.
Dude, he knows how these heroes work. He knows Superman. I'm sorry. Anyone tells me, Zack Snyder made him too dark in Man of Steel. No, Zack Snyder is showing you what Superman would be like when he first becomes Superman in the real world. He's confident, but he still doesn't know who he is yet as a hero. And then the Man of or BVS, he's getting there, but the world is still unsure about him. And then clearly in Justice League, all right, I got a second chance now. I'm not gonna waste it. I'm all about life. I'm all about my family. I'm all about my team. Like we got the overall evolution of Superman to where he will be. Mm-hmm. Like again, he knows the characters. I love him. Zack Snyder, we love you.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about the plot that's holding this entire thing together, because that also amazed me how both movies can be completely different because they just completely X'd out a big major character in the original version, which that is a large part of why that movie did not land for most people. But I like how it opens up right with the ending of BVS. We're seeing Superman speared by Doomsday, and then there's that cry, and then that's going out across the entire world, and it's causing the mother boxes to open. And let me ask this question to you guys. Was it Superman, his like death cry or whatever that could have been, that set the mother boxes to become active?
Yes. Ben, if you want to jump in that, go ahead. Go first.
Well, I was just gonna say yes because well they literally say that because they I believe it was Cyborg who said it. That was when they were meeting to talk about bringing Superman back to life. They said these things were basically hibernating because they were scared of Superman. So as soon as they knew he was dead, they were basically like we're free.
Yeah.
I think even welcome.
Right, and even if you see how the vibration of his voice was going out, the scene cuts to Lex when he's standing in front of Steppenwolf. Remember with the 3 boxes at the end of BVS, which is awesome how they tied that in with the 3 boxes in front of him, and that one lit up. And that was right as the vibration went through the ship. And like Luthor said at the end of BVS, the bell has been rung.
Yeah.
They know. That's why he was saying that, because he knew. He already spoke to Steppenwolf. He's like, we hear that the Kryptonian's gone. So we'll be there soon. So he knew what was coming.
I have to go back and watch that.
Yeah. So at the end of BVS Ultimate Edition. After Superman is killed, the next scene cuts to the SWAT team going into the spaceship. And that's when they see the hologram thing of Steppenwolf with the 3 boxes. And Lex is in the pool looking at him. So that's what he's talking about. He's like, that's the communication he had of what the boxes were.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's perfect storytelling. Because again, like Chris, you just said you forgot about that. When you go back and watch that film and watch the beginning, you're like, oh, that makes sense now. How that ending and that beginning ties in perfectly.
Oh,
like, because again, Batman was preparing for this. He's like, Lex said something's coming.
Oh, see, this is why it's so nice to have the same writer and director on an entire trilogy.
Yeah, Disney, get your mind right with Star Wars.
I wasn't gonna say it, but yeah.
I'll say it. You know why I'll say it? Because it clearly works with WandaVision. Because same we call it a showrunner. It's probably going to work with Winter Soldier with same showrunner. And clearly it worked with Marvel in general because of Kevin Feige, who's the lead. You know what I'm saying? Star Wars, get your mind right. That's all I got to say. But, this isn't a Star Wars discussion.
Yeah. They want to be a special snowflake.
Yeah.
But I totally agree. Like that's why there's a different feel, in my opinion, to Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah.
Because Zack wasn't on it really. So you have. I feel like her character feels like it's different. From what he wrote and what Patty Jenkins wrote. Personally, but
yeah, that's a good point, Ben. I didn't even think about that. You're absolutely right. Because Zack was very heavily involved, part of that first Wonder Woman, correct?
I'm pretty sure he wrote the first one.
Okay.
And yeah, he mentioned they make references to Steve Trevor and stuff in Snyder Cut there.
Yep.
Okay.
They reference it and everything. But I like how. I just really like how this movie. It just feels like the proper continuity. For all the characters, it feels like the natural points of where our characters need to be. Like you said, with Superman. Now he's at a point where he's like, I know I'm the guy. And like Bruce Wayne. He knows his strengths, weaknesses, whatever. He's pretty much become the college recruiting coach around the Earth right now. And then like all the characters really. And it was. I really like seeing Barry Allen's story fleshed out a little more from him just being like from him just being like a little goofball in the first one. It was nice seeing him fleshed out more. And see, like I said, his humor works though. Like his humor with the dog watching lady, like all that works. But in the first movie, it just seemed like it was just really in your face. But I don't know. It's really nice seeing really good continuity like that with the writing and just overall character development.
Yeah. So talking about let's talk about Steppenwolf. You mentioned him already, Milton. Obviously, he looks way better, I would say.
God,
His
almighty,
armor,
yeah.
his
He
armor
doesn't
looks
look like a
freaking
Power Ranger
crazy.
villain.
Facts.
It looks freaking nuts with the spikes. That was a really cool touch. That was really unique. I haven't seen any villain quite like that before. But just getting that surprise layers of his characters with like he had done something wrong where he had to like live through 50,000 destroyed planets to get freedom, and how he was being like led on a leash by Darkseid. Like everybody was always complaining about Steppenwolf for good reason, that he was just like a mustache twirling villain that had nothing to do in the first one for no reason. He was on Earth. We don't know why. And here we got it all laid out to us.
Yeah, you're right, and that's why was it Kieran Hines, who's the voice of Steppenwolf? That's why he complained. He was like, they cut out a lot of stuff in that first movie. Like, there's a lot of backstory with him. And my theory on what happened and why he was in debt is just, I think if you watch the movie again and see how it plays out, whenever Darkseid gets beat by the first attack. I think that's when Steppenwolf, whenever he was hurt, tried to then take over some way, shape, or form, or try to assist people to take over his throne. Which I think is the reason why when Darkseid recovered, he's like, okay, you messed up, you tried to overthrow me when I was down. You're done. I think that's what happened. Clearly, we didn't get that explanation. But you're right. They fleshed out Steppenwolf. Not saying it made me care about him, but it made me understand like his motivation of trying to conquer Earth and eventually, hey, anti-life equations here. This is really going to get me over with Darkseid. So it kind of made me want to say, I hope he kind of gets what he wants, because I'm like, okay, I know you're just doing your job, at the same time, yeah, you're going to get killed. So. But like I said, they made me understand his motivation. I need to understand the bad guy's motivation. It was clearly there. He wants to get back home. He wants to get back in the good graces of Darkseid. He's trying to not be this guy that's led him astray.
And they make it known right away how much of a badass this guy is with that whole battle in Themyscira when he's going with the axe and he's hunting down. I'm pretty sure that was extended. I don't remember that being as long.
No, it was extended.
Yep, it was.
Right?
It was.
It was awesome. Like he was just taking out these people on horses, like the Amazonians, like left and right, and they were collapsing the whole place on him, and he would get out anyway. And it was just like, you introduce a villain, you want to see what they're capable of, and you want to see them win a little bit, and then you know what's up. Then you know, okay, our Justice League is gonna have problems dealing with this guy. We already see what he's capable of.
Oh yeah, for sure. Steppenwolf was great. Like he, as you said, his character lacked in the first movie. In my opinion, severely. And like I said, jokingly said he looks like a Power Rangers villain in the first one, but he did. And I just really his character, just like Cyborg, is another character that really improved for this movie. Because I would say Cyborg's up there. Superman, I feel like they did a much better job with. And then Steppenwolf has to be right up there in like the top 3 or 4 most like quote unquote like fixed characters for this movie. And I just thought his relationship with Darkseid was interesting. Like you said, Milton, he was almost alluded to that he might have maybe tried to overthrow him at one point or not, but we're not sure exactly. So that was really cool. And Steppenwolf almost has like his own little arc throughout this movie, and he almost gets kind of quote unquote like redeemed because he was successful in finding like the anti-life equation and all that. He just happened to end up getting killed at the end, but he did figure that out for Darkseid. So. Right. I thought it was a pretty good, like even little story arc for him, even though it was like the story arc in the movie, but still.
It worked. To me, it worked. I mean, and really, let's think about it. I mean, Steppenwolf really did achieve his mission. He got all 3 mother boxes. He found the anti-life equation, which Darkseid had for some reason forgot it was there. And then he completed the Unity. Because spoilers again. The Justice League gets killed at one point, until Barry goes back in time, which was awesome, by the way.
Oh,
so Steppenwolf did achieve his goal, but like I said, you're right. This villain to me, this is where I don't want to compare DC versus Marvel, but I got you in a sense. This is why I think sometimes Marvel's villains are a little weaker, and when it comes to their motivation. Steppenwolf had a strong motivation, clearly, from the jump. and he never went away from it. And you got to see why he was trying to do what he needed to do. So I thought it worked for me. A significant improvement.
And so let's talk about the whole thing he was doing, right? With getting these worlds and trying to find this anti-life equation. You would have to destroy. You'd have to raise the planet with these mother boxes. So how do the mother boxes? Because you guys watch this more than I have. So every planet has a number of mother boxes. 'Cause they were talking about in the flashback scene, there was these witches or something that would come down and create the mother boxes per planet. How did that work exactly?
I'll let Ben handle this. I think I kind of know how it works. But go, Ben. You go first.
Yeah, I think it's something along those lines. Pretty much like each planet has them, and then as they mentioned, like if you unite them, you can basically shape the world however you want to see it. Basically, you're just playing God pretty much. And that's pretty much why they were wanting. Why they were going planet to planet. Destroying them. Like Darkseid said, I've turned 100,000 planets to dust.
Wow.
So how would he get turned into dust? Probably because the mother boxes on the planets and. He bent him to his will, where he just wanted everything just wiped out, pretty much.
Yeah.
Which is just an interesting in and of itself. Like just to think, like in the DC universe, like all these planets throughout all these universes are destroyed. Just wild to think about.
Yeah, and getting into the stakes of this movie and why it worked for me as well as it did is because I feel like all these big team up movies, they have to go after a major villain that not only gives them trouble for one person, but the entire team, right? And 2017 Justice League, they take out Steppenwolf. It was like, all right, was that guy that much of a problem? Nah, not really. But now we have something to look forward to. He's got a person that he's reporting to, and I think that's what really made this work for me, is knowing that there's like an Emperor character or a Thanos type of character that's still out there, and we kind of see a glimpse of it. The heroes see a glimpse of him at the end. And from what I know from talking to people since I've seen this, like Darkseid, this character is ridiculously powerful. I mean, we'd see him a little bit, and we see him getting hurt, but this guy has potential to be even stronger than Thanos from some people I was talking to.
Yeah, I agree. And this is where I'm going to call out the haters because a lot of haters did not like the way he looked. When I say he, Darkseid, he looks like he's clay and the CG's trash. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's the same look pretty much Thanos was, except for he was purple and he had a glove. Like the thing is, what people don't understand is they did the research, and Ben, I think you probably know this better than I do. Darkseid's skin is kind of rockish looking, and that's why you got the gray.
Yeah.
And he's got the blue armor, purple in some of the comics. He's got the laser, what do they call the lasers that he does? He shoots the lasers out that you see at one point. But I thought he looked great visually. I thought as a badass villain, it worked for me. You knew he's someone you don't want to mess with. If Desaad and Steppenwolf and Grady Goodness are submissive to him, and those are three strong villains are submissive to Darkseid, you know he's not someone you need to be trifling with. Again, you look at Thanos' three minions. Who are the three that Thanos had underneath him? Proxima, Midnight, and then the other couple people. They all were badasses, but they still were submissive to Thanos for a reason. So to me, it all worked. So you can't say you love Thanos, but hated Darkseid. They're the same character, pretty much. They both want to wipe out worlds. They both want to control the universe, except for one's doing it with the glove, one's doing it with 3 boxes of technology.
That's one thing. That's one thing. I think if we get into point where we're nitpicking or
that's what I'm saying.
Because if you want to get real, everyone loves Emperor Palpatine in Star Wars, but he's an old man with a black cloak on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone loves Darth Vader. He's all black. He's in a black costume. Nothing. He just is an all black costume. Like Chewbacca. He's literally like a big Bigfoot. That's it. So people love all these characters, but I really think we're at a point where people are so surprised this movie was so good. It's the whole almost like to reference Last Jedi, like the hubris of fans right now, and like the dogma of fans, like the whole DC versus Marvel mindset.
I don't get it.
And to me, I don't get it at all because even to go back, Stan Lee talked about it at a Comic Con before. I remember seeing the clip. He talked about it. Some fan asked him, "What do you think about DC versus Marvel?" And he literally said, obviously I want Marvel to do better because I'm working with them, but I want DC to do good as well because it's better for the entire industry. And I don't get where we get into this DC versus Marvel stuff. Like I'm just like, we're all comic book fans, people. Like enjoy it. But yeah, back to I think Darkseid looked great.
Amazing.
And even if you want to nitpick the look of his character, okay. Let's listen to what the character wants to do. His main general, whatever his ranking would be, Steppenwolf, gets killed, and Darkseid says, okay, that didn't work. He literally says, let's go to the old way, summon the Armada.
Yeah.
So let's go and invade the planet. Now, like you can't tell me that's not a badass move. Like, this didn't work. We're just going to invade the planet next time.
Now, mind you, he says that after the head goes through the boom tube, cut off, and he crushes his head. Like it's nothing. And I'm like, that's what I'm saying. It's like this guy don't care. He's like, you know what? Yeah, I lost my man. It's like, so be it. Get the crew. Get the crew. We going down there myself. And Thanos did the same thing at the end of Avengers Ultron. He went in and got the gauntlet and he said, hey, I'll do it myself. Like it's just like I want these villains to do stuff like that. This is why I love being a comic book fan, and we've talked about this the last couple of days. This is a perfect. I'm glad to be alive during this time because I'm seeing characters out of a book that I read about when I was a kid get on the screen and crushing heads and saying, "Hey, we're going to invade that planet. And we're going to win." And I want to see that. Like that's amazing. Like just for Zack Snyder to give us that visual and to really imagine what could part 2 and 3 be like of a movie with Darkseid as the main villain to focus on. Can you imagine getting that? At least getting the idea of it. Like any fan out there, I'm going on the rant right now. If you're a fan of comic book movies, you should be loving this time. Like that's our childhood we're getting. And creative people are taking their time and their money and their talent, putting it on screens or streaming platforms now, and showing us what possibility of what this can look like. And it's amazing. So I appreciate it all. I appreciate it all.
100%. I think with that moment, like with Darkseid, the reason why it's so great, it's just like the Vader moment in Rogue One. Tarkin says, "Oh, Lord Vader's taking the boarding shuttle." Like, so you know something's going down. Like, Darkseid's like, we're just going to invade the planet. Like, is that great? Like, that's the stuff us fans want to see. Like, you want to see the villains like say do badass stuff like that because that is what we want to see villains do. Like you said, no shade against Marvel, but a lot of times their villains fall flat other than Thanos because it's just kind of like they're just kind of generic. But I just really liked what they did with the villains for this movie. I really thought they did really well for Darkseid and Steppenwolf.
And that's what DC needed, right? Like there hasn't really been a memorable villain or a couple villains at all, right? I mean, Shazam, that guy was all right. Birds of Prey, I'll give it to Birds of Prey. I really like the character of Black Mask. But other than that, up until now, it's like, oh, this is what we're dealing with. And going off of Milton's point about, DC, Marvel, and what the hell, like, there's no use, like, saying which is better than the other. I mean, we're just coming out of a weekend where we had a big-ass Marvel property and a DC property within 24 hours of one another. I mean,
love them both.
How awesome is that to actually get Falcon Winter Soldier the day after this? I was still like putting my head back together right as I was sitting down to watch the first episode of Falcon Winter Soldier. I'm like, I don't even know if I should watch it right now because my mind's like so much on the Justice League. it was just like an embarrassment of riches right now. It's like you can't even try to complain. This is insane.
No, absolutely.
No,
Like,
absolutely. I just started watching the Justice League animated series just because of this movie.
And I watched it a little bit, but
never got in depth.
never got in
And
depth
that's
of
what
it. Like, and that's what that's making me
like
do.
you said,
even with the Marvel stuff, it's
man,
like,
we get another
man, we
great
get another great
show. Like we just
show.
had
Like we just had WandaVision.
Then we get Justice.
Then we get Justice.
Now we got Falcon.
Now we got Falcon Winter Soldier.
I believe we're
I
getting
believe we're getting
Black
Black Widow as the year goes on. I mean, we're getting all these things,
and I just want to eat.
And I just
want to eat.
Yeah,
Bad Batch.
Yeah, Bad Batch. I want to eat it all up. I want to eat it all up. Give me all the cake and candy. I'll eat it all up. I don't want to hear superhero fatigue.
I don't want to hear
that because it's not true. Because if it's good, you gotta sit down and watch it.
I don't care what anyone tells me.
Okay,
Like
these creators know how to tell stories
that
engage audiences, no matter what you look like,
where you
no matter where you come from.
They all know
there's a 12-year-old boy or girl in that body of theirs
wants to see these
heroes and villains be successful.
Yeah. I'm going to turn over to the comment section. We have a comment coming in from Alex Elkins. His first comment, or their first comment is, I wonder what Warner Brothers will do now since the film is doing so well. And all the setup in this movie doesn't matter because so many of their films have been canceled and or completely changed. We'll talk about that specific point that they wrote in right now because I believe somewhere back when they were like, if this ever happens, Zack Snyder's cut is not going to be canon. I'm like, wipe that statement off the face of the planet because this thing needs to be the correct continuity now because you don't tease us with all that stuff and not let it come true.
Yeah, we're about to say. Because here's the thing. It's easily able to become canon. Like all you gotta do is say it is one. Two, I distinctly remember. I think Patty Jenkins said
a lot of the movies
that were moving forward were based off of Zack Snyder's version
of Justice League.
Aquaman, they say, "Oh, your team killed Steppenwolf." It teams into it. I mean, it's I don't want to hear that this movie isn't canon because it is. Everyone with their mind right knows this is a canon film. Sorry.
Here's the big thing with that, Milton. It's the end of the day. Warner Brothers is going to look at the big thing. Money talks. And however many streams or it seems like all these companies are ran off Twitter nowadays. So don't look at Lucasfilm, but Warner Brothers will see Justice League has been trending since like Wednesday. It's been trending every single day. It's always in all the top headlines. Everybody's talking about it. And the best thing is the last time I checked, Rotten Tomatoes is what it is, but the critic score was like 82 or 83. The audience score was 96.
Yeah, it's 97 last time I looked.
So 97. Yeah. But last time I looked, that was Thursday, so it went up. So you have all of this good feedback. Why wouldn't you like this is my thing. This is my thing. Like you said, Milton. This is canon. So you're telling me if you're Warner Brothers, you're like, okay, let's release that, and then just get back onto our other boat over here. Act like that other exciting stuff didn't happen, and just keep on pushing ahead with the same stuff, storyline. They cannot do that. If they do that, that is a colossal mistake waiting to happen. For one, and for two, I think they really need to. Alex Elkins, he's actually one of my good friends. We watched it. We watched it yesterday. Actually, that was the second viewing. Like he was talking about to me. Whatever Warner Brothers has to do, they need to give Zack Snyder whatever money he needs, and let him be kind of the Kevin Feige of the DCEU, and let him kind of guide the direction of these movies. Even if he's not directly involved, let him help lay the groundwork. Because look at all the little tidbits throughout these movies, that relate out. Look at the general who ended up being John Jones. Harry Lennox. Thank you. But like you look at him, that little seed was planted in the prior films. We had no idea, and then now it's like boom. Now we have Martian Man.
Which is awesome.
Those type of little things planted throughout the movies little details are what really put Zack Snyder into that category of like he should be the person like guide like the overall story for the DCEU. I mean you have all kinds of little things. Look, even that cyborg, the like the code for the mother box 61982. That actually if neither of you guys knew this, that was the very June 1982 was the first Cyborg comic book issue ever. So that's why they gave that mother box that number. Yep. If you didn't know that, I was looking at some Easter egg things. Cyborg's first official issue was June of '82, and that's why they named the mother box that brought him back to life 1982. Like little Easter eggs like that were planted throughout the film. It's just so cool seeing those type of little things.
Yeah. Alex was also saying about, and this is something that really disappoints me reading it. Apparently there was a Batman versus Deathstroke movie that was being in the works, and I want to see more. I want to see more Ben Affleck as damn Batman. I want to see a story like set 10 years prior where he's like in his prime, and he's fighting people like Deathstroke and Joker and all, and maybe Robin is still alive. Like I want that story.
Yeah, wasn't there talks about that being a series though now? Potentially.
That was the rumored Ben Affleck script. He was because I'm not sure if either you knew, but he was writing a Batman movie, and then he actually moved from writing it. He dropped out of it actually, and then they had some other director was going to direct it, and then he eventually just dropped out of like being Batman. So he basically went from writing and directing to acting out. And it was rumored that that movie was actually going to be the Deathstroke versus Batman movie, and then just got dusted basically. So we have those type of little things planned throughout this movie, and it just makes you want more. Like I said, we need Justice League 2 and 3. We need some more spin-off movies. Just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, jumping off another comment from Alex, and I want to elaborate on this because I want to circle back to some specific character arcs. He's mentioning that he liked the Flash and Cyborg, and I'll second that. But I think like Cyborg, the Flash, Batman, Superman, everybody but Wonder Woman. I'm thinking about Wonder Woman. I'm like, she didn't really have like much of an arc, but like every other character, Aquaman, like every one of them had an arc that started and fulfilled and left the character at a different place, which for a movie that's an ensemble movie, like that is difficult. Even if you manage to make it 4 hours, to have plenty of time to tell that story. To balance that many, you said like 5 storylines, even with the damn villain, to be able to balance that many storylines without fumbling along the way, while still managing to tell like an overarching story that blends them all together, man, that is a masterclass of filmmaking if I've ever saw it.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Everything you said, I agree with, Chris. Again, I mean, I'm just giving Zack Snyder and Warner Bros. Again, I'll give HBO Max and Zack Snyder all the credit here. Like they really stepped their game up and gave us something that was amazing to see. I mean, were my expectations high for this movie? Yeah, but clearly my expectations were also understandability like in the middle because of all the issues that were going on with the studio. But I mean, after seeing this, man, it's like, God damn, you guys, like, you really got to give yourselves a pat on your back because you really brought something that's epic. A different type of superhero movie that a lot of fans and critics are really saying, yeah, this worked.
I think what you're going to see now, honestly, after such positive, I mean, I just said 97% audience, like pretty much everybody loved this damn movie. I've been on social media monitoring things. I haven't seen anybody say anything bad about this. Everybody's been really liking it or loving it at this point. I think what you're going to see is a paradigm shift in how streaming content works. I mean, yeah, we've been seeing series released, right? They're basically almost 5-hour movies, but now I think what you're going to see is maybe more experimentation with like long 4-hour films, expanding across all genres, right? Because we don't have a lot of them, period. But now they're going to look at the data from the Snyder Cut and say like, okay, like people actually watch this thing. They might have paused it like 2 or 3 times throughout the film, but they finished it within 24 hours, right? There's going to be a lot of data now. They're going to be able to analyze it and be like, this is actually a different kind of way we can push entertainment. And my friend was telling me this. He's like, I think what should happen is Snyder should have like his movies exclusively on HBO Max, because they're going to see how well this thing brought in new subscribers and be like, okay, like maybe we'll eventually release them into theaters, like maybe a couple months down the road, but like the first watch will be on HBO Max apps only, and he could have like the Snyder universe only on HBO Max. Maybe like do something like that, you know?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I could see something like that potentially happening. But also, as Milton said to begin with, I could also see this just going back to theaters, because this would have made 1.3 billion. So you can't. It's hard to say whether like long term will. All of the subscribers make up for, say, $1 billion, like potentially, like just matters how many subscribers you get. So I don't know. I really think it comes down to that. But I do think we are heading in the direction of streaming services, because I was saying this to my friend Alex yesterday. I think this movie specifically could be the proverbial straw that breaks the camel's back type thing, where maybe a lot of these studios are like, hey, wait, we might have something here, because Disney's released some other movies like Mulan and things like that.
I was about to say, yeah,
straight to streaming, but those weren't as big of risk. When you release a comic book movie on a streaming service, that's a big risk, in my opinion, because if you don't get people streaming and subscribing and everything, you're gonna really miss out on it. But now that it's going over so well, you might have of course Warner Brothers is going to look at it and go, hey, we might have to do this, but you might have Disney go and say, hey, you know what? Let's actually make Black Widow on put that straight to Disney Plus. So I think there's a potential we get more movies straight to streaming. And I mean, hey, of course, this isn't DC related, but I think Solo 2 would be a perfect movie for Disney Plus. Like that would be perfect, because maybe Solo 2 didn't hit really well with people in the theaters themselves. Boom, throw it to Disney Plus, where you see people are rewatching Solo. There you go. So like, I think there's a chance we're going to see a lot more movies going straight to streaming because of this movie specifically.
I agree. I want to piggyback off that. So I was telling my buddies the other day, they were like, their biggest thing was, this is 4 hours long. Who's going to sit through a 4-hour movie? I said, guys, it's the day of streaming. Let's be real here. This pandemic has made it now the day of streaming, because people get in the house more, and people binge shows. One. Two, I think just what Ben piggybacked off of like studios releasing films on their platforms now. I think if they want to release their movies on there and try to gain some money back, what they really need to consider is the pricing. I think a lot of people were salty with Disney Plus when they did the whole Mulan thing, and they charged $30 just to get the exclusive, which is like, wait a minute, I don't pay $30 for a movie ticket. So why would I sit there and pay $30 on a movie that probably isn't as good as the original one? And two, $30 is a high price. So I think if they're going to like put Black Widow on Disney Plus, if you want to charge a price, make it where it's reasonable. So my question to you guys is, if HBO Max or even Disney Plus wants to release the Flash movie or Black Widow on their stream for a price, how much do you think is a reasonable price that you would spend to watch that movie on the platform?
Well, here's the thing. I think the reason why they're charging that much, especially with Disney Plus, is obviously that's more of a family-oriented network, right? You're going to have your kids, the mom and dad, whatever guardians watching it. So you're going to have like 3 or 4 people eyeballing that thing. Whereas us, it's just usually probably just us watching these movies, by ourselves. So they're taking that into consideration, or the fact that it's a streaming platform where they could just share it with a friend and then they can watch it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I guess they're already
I get that.
Yeah, so it is like tough, right? Because I agree. Like I don't want to spend like $30, but I can also see like why why they're doing it. For me personally, yeah, I probably wouldn't have anybody else watching, so it's like I would only be paying that. I'll just drive to the theater and pay $12.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard for me. I mean, it depends on the movie, right? Like if
That's what I'm saying. To me, I think it
I'll
depends on
pay
the film.
$30 to see it.
I'll give an opposite take on that. I think it should just be thrown in with the streaming price itself. I think it should be all one package deal, like they just did with this movie. It was included. Boom. You know, you pay. And I say that just because if you think about it this way, so let's say Warner Brothers gets up to like the Disney Plus marks, like 100 million subscribers. That's on average about 1.5 billion per month they're making. So at $15 per customer. So that's about 16 to 18, 16 to 20 billion per year. And, you know, these movies are costing them anywhere between 100 to 150 million, usually for the comic book movies to make, somewhere in that ballpark. So you know, if you only release, say if you release, I don't know, four of these per year, that would basically be 1 month of your streaming revenue. So, you know, over the long haul, I feel like you're going to be netting a profit just because you're not going to have that salty feeling because I was just saying to my friend yesterday, it's kind of stupid. Disney Plus charges, you know, $30 for a movie because then it, you know, you could potentially have the saltiness of a customer going, okay, you know what, I'll just get Disney Plus for a month, or you know, and buy this movie, whatever, or I'll get Disney Plus for a month, binge Mando since Mando's done, and then I'll just cancel it and not watch it until the next thing. So I just feel like. I feel like they need to include it in the pricing.
I agree.
And if you're going to do that, though, do what HBO did. Don't make Disney Plus, you know, $7 or $8, whatever the lowest tier is for Disney Plus. Make it 15. Make it 20. God, if we're sitting here paying however much for internet bills and cell bills and you know whatever $10-15 a month for Xbox Live. You know, so say you pay $20 a month for Disney Plus. You know, all that is just one or two times going out to eat. Like you can't tell me you can't cut out a couple of fast food visits to have all of these streaming movies all for a bundle price of $20. Like see stuff like that just makes me really think like. You know, I think it would be better long term. Short term, obviously not, because you'll make more money doing it the other way. But I think long term, it's better just to have it as a package deal. Raise the price just a tad bit, and go from there.
Yeah, here's the thing. So all very good points. A couple things I want to note. It's kind of hard because like a lot of these movies that Disney Plus had put on their service were theatrical movies. They were made, their budgets were already accounting for them to be in a theater. They had their marketing, which was supposed to be for a movie in the theater. A lot of them already had trailers before the COVID hit, like Mulan and all that, Black Widow. So they already have so much of an investment in there that it's kind of difficult. Whereas the Snyder Cut was a movie that was already done, pretty much, and they just had to maybe throw like $80 million at it to just like finish some effects shots and editing and stuff like that. So it's almost like comparing two different animals. But then it just dawned on me that you mentioned the pricing. Yeah, you're completely spot on with the pricing, because HBO Max is basically double, I believe, the price of Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And what they're doing right now is this unprecedented thing, which pissed off a lot of people in the industry when HBO Max decided, hey, we're going to put all these movies for a month on our service as they go day and date with the U.S. theater releases. And at first there was a lot of problems because people weren't getting the payout that they should have been getting paid regardless of what it did in the theater. So there was a lot of backlash from directors and the people in the industry for that. But like I said, they're also charging you double. And I think a report came out that there is going to be a different tier for HBO Max, which is going to be, I guess, a little bit lower and more competitive with Disney Plus, but it won't give you access to the movies that are airing day and date with the theater releases. So you'll just have the streaming content. So maybe if Disney Plus does something like that and they say, hey, we're going to charge you $14.99 a month, but then you'll have access to all these same day releases in the theater, hey, I'd probably be down for that. You know what I mean? So giving people a choice is better than no choice, I think, in that regard.
Oh, 100%. I think that's always a better option just because just like your favorite restaurant. You don't like to go and just get a burger every single time. Like you like to change it up, some chicken fingers or this or that. Like so or people just on a lower budget. Like you might want to not want to get the most expensive meal, but you still want to have something to eat. So that's something to think about in that regard. Like maybe just make the lower tier. You can't access the movies. But also I saw, Chris, another option they were debating on the table for Warner Brothers was they were going to keep potentially like because I heard a couple different things. I heard what you were saying about the movies would be like in the higher tier. But I also heard the other option that's on the table is to potentially keep the movies in, but for the shows like what's a show on HBO Max, like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones or something, for example. It's gonna be ads, like ad supported. So I heard that's an option on the table that Warner Brothers is considering as well. Is potentially just making it where the movies and things stay, but you're just gonna have ads, almost like Hulu. You know how Hulu has a higher tier for no ads. I think there's a potential they were talking about they could do it that way as well.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, it's going to be a paradigm shift with the success that this is obviously happening with the word of mouth and everybody just super excited. This is going to be definitely something that I think we'll see a lot more of in coming weeks. Something that immediately jumped out, and we're going to get back to some more Justice League here. Something that immediately jumped out at everybody is, oh wow, the aspect ratio is way different. It's formatted for an IMAX screen. You got the black bars on the side. I watched WandaVision, so I was a little bit used to that format somewhat for the first 2 episodes, at least, of that series. But all I got to say is, man, I need to see this thing in IMAX somehow. So hopefully one day, in the coming months, when the hype has died, they'll bring the hype back and say, everybody, for 1 month, limited time, you can see this at your local IMAX and whatever. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I I thought the aspect ratio, worked. Didn't bother me. I thought it would, but it didn't. I thought it looked good. I mean, I was watching on my iPad at one point, and it completely fixed my iPad screen. So there's no black lines on that. Now, when I watch it on the flat screen, the black lines show. But other than that, I mean, it still looks great. Like it pops off the screen. So to me, like, I know Zack Snyder purposely wanted this for IMAX, but again, it works for regular standard television, in high definition. It wasn't a distraction. I was okay with it. But you're right. I need to see this eventually on an IMAX screen.
Oh yeah, totally. Like for me, that wasn't the thing that actually got brought up in conversation. I didn't even register like of course we noticed it, but I didn't even think about like this, there was like black bars, like we just watched it on our business, like I just thought this was such a good movie that on mine, like just overshadowed like that, like yeah, I thought the movie was good as a whole, just everything, the tone, the editing, certain characters look, as you mentioned, step ones, like things like that. Those type of details, I think it really helped it, and maybe it's just not maybe a casual viewer might not realize, but some us hardcore fans, overanalyze every little split second of a movie.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. It's something that I got used to right away. So for me, it is what it is. But hey, the guy's got a vision, and he's got a certain way he wants to portray these characters. I think I read something about how he wanted that aspect ratio simply because these beings should be in a vertical kind of positioning as far as the focus on them. Since they're superheroes, they should be tall and powerful. So with a slimmer profile, you're able to see taller figures, stronger, stuff like that. So I thought that was interesting. Me and Milton were talking about this a little bit about the music. So you want to talk about the music, about the part that I think you come to terms with it now, man. But you were saying something about one of the scenes kind of took you out of it for a little bit because of the music.
Yeah. I initially with the Amazonian stuff, I wasn't quite a fan of like the I can't even describe it. More like the voice, the voice vocals that they would use whenever Wonder Woman would show up, or like whenever the Amazonians would just wreck shop. At first, I was kind of like, what is this? Because I thought it was a little distracting. I can't believe I'm using that word. I hate when people say that when it comes to movie reviews. But it kind of was at first. But then, as I watched it a second time, I was like, okay, it works for this. It's a perfect fit. I think because it threw me off my first initial viewing of it. I was like, but then as I'm watching it again, it fits. He didn't use it all the time. He was using it in certain parts. So no, I thought the music choices were fine. I love the music scores in general. Who's it? Junkie XL that scored this film.
Yeah.
Awesome. Can't complain. I'm definitely considering getting the soundtrack to this film.
Yeah.
Which I think it might be like trending #1 or top 5 in like I know in iTunes at one point. Yeah, I thought the music was well done, except for, like I said initially, the Amazonian stuff. But as I watched it a second and third time, I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like it just made sense for the type of movie this was for.
Yeah. So I want to get into some kind of like nitty gritty details. Certain things I picked up. I don't know if you guys picked up. Probably you did, because it sounds like you guys were really paying attention to a lot of little details here. Do you think Lois Lane is pregnant with Superman? Because I thought I seen a pregnancy test thing, whatever they call it.
100%.
Okay.
100%. That's exactly what that was. That was on pregnancy test kit.
Ben, I think your mic's still acting up.
Hello.
Yeah.
We can hear you, but it's acting up.
Try to unplug it maybe and plug it back in.
You get your point.
I got you. Ben's right. That was a pregnancy test that was shown when she was getting her little dresser. I think either she's pregnant or there was some potential scare. Because I know for people who've probably seen like part 2 and 3. What could be like maybe could be Batman's kid at one point, whatever. But I think Zack Snyder focused on this potentially being a Lois Lane, Clark Kent relationship that's continuing. So yeah, I think she might be pregnant. But then the thing is that we don't know how far the gap between this movie and BVS ended. So it could be a couple weeks. It could be a month or two. Could be a month or two. Who knows?
All right. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
That's way better.
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah. I heard pieces of Milton's point. I'm pretty sure. I heard what he said. But yeah, I'm pretty sure she's pregnant. Because if you notice, it might have been a detail. Sure, if you mentioned it, Milton. When Lois walks in to visit Martha, there's a baby basket she's carrying, like a baby, what you would see like a baby carrying an actual infant newborn. She's holding that. So I think.
When did this happen? What scene was this?
Yeah, like if you notice, it's right off to like the edge. When she's like, it's literally right to like off the edge of where Lois is. It's almost sitting right next to Lois, kind of catty corner from her. In that scene, like if you notice, because it's not really, it could be implied. It could be just someone else's thing. But I think that is almost another like a little Easter egg in there that she was pregnant. And then also, you have the potential, like the leaked storyboards that were out there for Justice League 2 and 3. Have either of you heard about that?
Yes, that's what I was saying about the whole Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Lois Lane potential of him having the kid whenever Superman was killed or something.
I think those are legit. As soon as those were leaked, Warner Brothers nailed everybody who posted those with copyright strikes and everything. Within they were hours. They were down that day. So the thing about that is, I think that was the potential storyline. But yeah, I think Lois is pregnant because also, really for the usefulness of this film. Why would you have that be in there? If she wasn't pregnant, what are we going to go to Justice League to and her say, Clark, I'm actually not pregnant. Like, why? Why? So I really think that she was pregnant to in this film and even see, I think it was almost hinted at in the scene when Lois and Clark were at the farm because when Lois, like, sure obviously Clark the ring when he says the ring, but he says I take that as a yes or however he said it. She's like what? Her reaction. I think in her mind she might have been thinking he knows I'm pregnant. Just because her reaction, I don't know, it just seemed weird. But I 100% think she's pregnant. And also it would add more potential to like the whole vision we get at the end of the film.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
It connects more with all of that because if she would get killed, that would make Clark go even crazier. Obviously,
it's just like the Injustice storyline. It doesn't because I know Batman Superman kills the Joker because he tricks Batman and killing Lois by accident. But he can hear like two heartbeats or something. I don't know if it's Injustice or another video game that he did.
I think it's Injustice.
Yeah, it's Injustice. Long story short, the Joker basically gets to Clark and basically Clark it's almost poisoned, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Where he's hallucinating and thinking Lois is the Joker and he kills the Joker, quote unquote the Joker, and ends up being Lois and then goes crazy. So yeah, I think that's I think all of that is just a long-winded way to say yes. I think she's pregnant.
Right.
Yeah, because that's a really good way to set up, like Milton was saying, and we're going to talk all about that crazy ass epilogue there with the nightmare and all. But imagine, like, he comes back to life and the love of his life dies and her unborn child dies. Like, that would make anybody go crazy, and Superman's already kind of like unstable to begin with, so that's how you can piece things together where he becomes the adversary against this new Justice League.
Oh, 100%. Like, I think it's really great to hint at that. Hey, that's another idea. Say we don't even get all this Justice League 2 Snyderverse stuff, all this stuff. Give us a whole movie, an alternate timeline, and do that whole nightmare sequence. Like, make that into a movie. If we're not gonna go and get all these extra, just make the whole nightmare sequence, turn that into a movie like that, like a what if timeline. Because I think all of these stories are so well done. I mean, look, you have BVS, the Flash, like Lois is the key, blah blah blah, like all that stuff. It's because they know how important Lois is, and we could potentially have more of that whole storyline from like the nightmare sequence, just because the Flash is like going back. What if that's the Flash? Like, say you have the nightmare sequence going on, and the Flash keeps popping back to Batman and BVS, saying Lois is trying to give him a message each time, and then he keeps popping back to the future present. He's like, nope, this time didn't work, and keep trying new things. So I think it's really interesting. And I think that's another great part of Clark's character in general, because he's so invincible. Like, he's literally like a god. It's ironic his weakness is a human. So I don't know. It's a really great part of his character as a whole.
Yeah. So there's that whole future timeline that's a possibility, but they might be able to avoid it. But man, oh man, I got such a thrill out of seeing all those different kind of characters coming together. I really liked Mara, the character in Aquaman. I like how she's like a water mage, and she's got this spell casting ability. So we're seeing her showing up as part of the Six. We're seeing freaking Deathstroke, who in the previous scene or two was going to go after Bruce Wayne. So it's like, how the heck does he turn him on his side? You got the Flash with a crazy looking costume. All the costumes in that scene looked fantastic. And
that was awesome. That scene was amazing.
And you got the Joker. We got to spend time talking about that whole conversation, that whole dialogue between Batman and the Joker, because we've never seen them work together ever in live action. And I think the performance that Jared Leto gave was so good. I don't know. I feel like a lot more people are going to be on board after rather than the Suicide Squad movie, right?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, just his scene was what, like 5 minutes long, maybe, whatever. Just him being in that scene. It's like, damn, we need to get more of him. And I know people are going to say the Joker's played out. And I mean, I kind of get it. But man, I loved his version of him in the 5 minutes that we had. We got to see, okay, Batman's willing to cross the line. One, to work with villains. But two, I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna kill you and gonna do it later. He made that promise. And what was crazy about that interaction was that Harley Quinn was killed and Batman was there, and she's like, I want you to kill him, kill Joker, and make it last. And it's like, wait, what happened between Harley Quinn and Joker?
Because we know Birds of Prey, the whole Birds of Prey movie is like her getting back at Joker because he screwed her up, and she's like, F this, and I don't like him anymore,
right. But even with that movie, because that's just who they are. But something had to have happened where Joker really did her dirty, or Joker probably killed her. And that's when Batman was trying to save her life. And she's like, you know what? I realized that he was a piece of shit. I realized he was bad for me. So just wreck him next time you see him, Batman. I guarantee that's what happened. But just for why was Zack Snyder put that in there? Knowing that fans are gonna want to know, how did she die?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think a lot of these things that he put in there, especially in the nightmare sequence. Obviously, he wanted to make his movies, but don't get me wrong. Like, he's a director, he knows the business of Hollywood and everything. And he knows it's going to get so many fans going clamoring for this type of stuff. Look, we're sitting here having a stream about it, talking about it. Like, this is all just hook type stuff to get people hooked in. Like even when the Joker was saying, when he mentioned about the multiverse, like, how many different timelines, do we have to go through, where you just don't, you're not the one dying, basically. And so that makes me wonder, are we going to potentially get a nightmare type of movie or something where they're messing with the timeline? Because obviously up until that point in the Vision, they've done this over and over again. Because obviously that's why the Joker says that. So I thought that was almost little like hints in there that we could potentially get something down the road with this sequence. Just because I think that's why. Like, seeing the villains basically win in that nightmare sequence is one of the biggest things people. How do I say it? Like, people like to see that. Like, that's why they love Infinity War so much. Thanos won. That's why everyone loves Empire Strikes Back so much. Darth Vader and the Empire won. It's rare to get the villains quote unquote like winning. So getting to see that in the nightmare sequence, like, people are getting hyped up about it for a good reason, because it's rare we're seeing the villains win, especially when you're having the villains face the Justice League, and Wonder Woman and Aquaman are dead, and all these other people are dead. Like, it's crazy. So it's like, why wouldn't we see more of it?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, again, I was going to be funny, Ben, and throw in another movie of the villains winning. I was going to say Rocky 3 when Clubber Lang beats Rocky, and then whenever Apollo Creed loses to Ivan Drago in Rocky 4. But those movies are beloved because the heroes lose something. Either they lose, a friend, a loved one, a partner. even in Endgame or Infinity War, we see those characters lose half their team. And what's so epic about Endgame is that it's a comeback story. It's redemption. It's sacrifice. And I think with let's say parts 2 and 3 of Justice League, if we ever got them with the nightmare scenes mixed into there, I think we would get that. We would see sacrifice. We would see redemption. You know, we would see loss, which would be, and we see a great comeback story of these heroes who, we beat Steppenwolf, but you know what? Darkseid's someone we've never seen before. We don't know what type of power. That's old magic. That's shit that a Wonder Woman described her. Old power. Like I would love to see Batman have to make the Iron Man sacrifice eventually. And that's what I think would happen if we got those other films. Like, he would have to be the one to sacrifice because he brought the team together. He kind of saw this pretty much like Tony Stark saw the visions whenever Wanda was in his head. He wanted the suit of armor around the world. I could see Bruce Wayne being that character, so you know what though? Yeah, I'd sent Barry back in time multiple times. We've tried this with the Speed Force, whatever, but it isn't working. Maybe I need to be the one to eventually do something about this. I need to sacrifice myself. Maybe I'm the key, not Lois. You know, it's again, I would love to see that, and it makes you think about this type of potential storylines.
Yeah, I think what's really cool is just the aesthetic of this scene. I'm actually pulling it up as you guys are talking because I love this scene so much because it's just something about the grimy and the dirtiness of like all their armor and just everything with the color palette looks like so dystopian and so separate from everything else. I mean, we see this in BVS. Like, obviously Batman is kicking some serious ass with like this machine gun. So I guess this is like a continuation of like that same nightmare that you might be having.
Yeah.
It looks like it's like roughly in the same area.
It might be like a little later because from my understanding, and maybe I have to go back and rewatch it. They've done this before. Like, they're trying something else. They're trying to get somewhere. And they're saying, Go ahead, Ben.
Oh yeah, that's my exact understanding of this nightmare sequence in this movie. Is like we were saying, like trying different options. They were quote unquote like trying different options in like BVS as well. So like I think this is kind of like the quote unquote like presence or like what we're up to. What the furthest point in the nightmare sequence storyline we are. Like, that's we're at option whatever, like I don't know, 1,000 or something, you know what I mean? Like I think what we're seeing in BVS is like maybe option 500 something, like so it's playing out, and like I said, that's why the Joker said, how many times do you have to do this before you're the one to die?
Because it sounds like Barry Allen's the one that continues to go back in time and to reset that moment, yeah. Which I loved his suit, by the way, in the future. The way the helmet opened up, which is fire.
I didn't know who it was at first until I seen like the blue energy.
Yeah, because I have to go back and watch BVS again, but that's the same suit that he had the mech helmet that opened up in the Vision when he went back in time to tell Bruce about the key.
Really?
He's like, that's the key. Yeah, so watch BVS. You'll see like the helmet open up, and it's quick how they do it, but it slightly opens up. And then in the nightmare scene in Justice League, it opens up again. You're like, oh, that's Flash. Like, it's dope. I'm like, they pretty much took the suit from Injustice, the Injustice games.
Dude, I love how Cyborg has like that cloak on his robotic body. That is such a nice touch. Like, I don't know, something about robots with cloaks. Like I was just watching this like new miniature reveal of the Magna Guards for the one game I play, and I'm like, oh my god, the reason why the Magna Guards are so cool is because they're droids with capes. It's like, it looks so good.
Yeah. Well, your boy, what's the one Transformers movie? I think the third one. Your boy Megatron has a cloak at one point on, and he's out in the desert.
Yep.
So yeah.
So let's take some time talking about our favorite moments. I'll start this one off because we didn't really touch on it a lot. Is that extended action scene with Darkseid, and I didn't know who it was at first. I was like, is that Leonidas from 300? Like, Zack Snyder directed. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? This guy wasn't even in the first cut or whatever. And then there's this other guy with this axe and this like barbarian helmet, like hacking people. Like, what is going on? It's like, oh, it's the old gods. It's Zeus and Ares. And I thought that was so neat. Like, actually seeing Zeus as like a younger character. Usually you see Zeus and it's like this old wizened looking wizard character with a gray white beard. And he looked like fit as hell. He had like electric hands shooting lightning. And then Ares just like takes a chunk. Like, that was like Lord of the Rings-esque, like Return of the King battle right there. That part amazed me. There was so much going on, and then the Green Lantern coming down, and then like the ring floating above Darkseid's finger, and then he getting shot. Like, oh my gosh, that was crazy.
No, it was a great scene. It reminded me of the Return of the King, like that last battle, like whenever they're attacking, the Eye, which was dope.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that whole scene was fire. I think a favorite moment for me was probably, oh man, I've always got a lot of enjoyment out of this. The first attack the Justice League has against Steppenwolf at the water bridge that they're at, the tunnel.
Stryker's Island.
Stryker's Island. Yeah, I like that scene, and it gotten better in this version. Like, we got to see more ferocious. Like, Wonder Woman, my God, she is such a badass. She was killing people left and right in this movie.
Yeah, she was.
And that's my one thing about this entire film. This film is very violent.
That's why it's rated R.
Yeah, and I love it. It's like, okay, but Wonder Woman, like, she steps to everybody like it's nothing. I'm thinking, yeah, she's fire. Like, I need to get a Wonder Woman hat. I ain't going front. I got a Flash and a Batman. It's time for me to get a Wonder Woman hat.
Yeah, you were saying before about that opening sequence with her with the was there a certain name to that guy, the lead bad guy in that scene?
He's called like leader. He's like leader, gang member, or something like that.
Oh, I didn't know if he was like a character that was in the comics or something. All right, he was just like a generic bad guy. But anyway, like that scene kicked serious ass regardless.
Oh, dude, because she throws the one guy against the wall, and you see a blood splatter against the wall, and then like at the end of the scene, there's like blood pools everywhere. I'm like, oh, she really killed all these dudes. Love it.
Her music, just to put that in there too.
Yeah,
I love her theme song so much. Like,
oh, it's great.
Like it's every time, like, it just gives me chills. Like, anytime her theme song kicks in, it's like, oh man, here we go. Like,
like she's like, honestly, I think of the six, and I'm not gonna include seven. I'm not gonna see Martian Manhunter yet, but like of the six, the best fighter out of all of them, like by far. And we all know Batman's supposed to be a ninja and Superman, but I think she would wreck Superman if she had to. I'm just saying that just to be funny, but I do think she's a hell of a fighter. She's tough as hell.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
She flies in this now too, right? Was she flying in this movie?
Or was it more super jumping? I'm not sure.
I couldn't even tell. I thought she was flying at one point.
She might have been. I think she might have been.
Yeah. We all know she flew in Wonder Woman 84 at one point, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, like Wonder Woman's great. The battle's great, as you mentioned, Chris. Like, that was one of the highlight moments. I was like, man, that was amazing. I don't know, just whenever Wonder Woman's on screen, she just does amazing things. But for me, I just love, Superman's always been my favorite comic book character. And I just absolutely love what they did with him. I loved seeing him in the Fortress of Solitude, and you're hearing Russell Crowe and Kevin Costner talking to him.
Oh, yeah.
And putting on the black suit.
Oh, the black suit.
And when he's like, fly son, it was like, oh man, chills.
That's emotional.
Oh, I love it. I just love it. I love it so much. Like, just because Man of Steel, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated comic book movies of all time. And hearing Russell Crowe and Kevin Costner talk again was just like, oh man. And then, as I mentioned earlier, just when Superman comes in at the end to like lay the hammer down on Steppenwolf, it was like, oh, this is just amazing. Like, just little things like that with him. And of course, as I mentioned earlier on, like, I love seeing the Justice League, when they were having to fight Superman when he first woke up. Like, them fighting him is so great. Because you see like all these superpowered people fighting him, and like as we mentioned, the humor into this movie is set up perfectly. Like, you have Cyborg tell that cop, you might want to get out of here. Like, it's just like little shuffle type things like that. Those are good little moments, but they're not forced. But the best part I even liked in the first one, but I love when the Flash starts to go to try to run around them. And the Flash is up to this point, we know how fast he is because of him saving the girl early on in the movie. We see the Flash try to restrain him, and Superman's eyes are just tracking him.
Yeah.
And just seeing the Flash's reaction to that is so perfect. I just love everything that they did with Superman in this movie. I just thought it was great.
Superman and look, I agree on that, Ben, about Superman, because again, I want to repeat what my man John Campea says about him all the time. John Campea hates how the CW has done Superman in the Arrowverse, how they jobbed him out to Supergirl, which, I mean, he's not wrong. Now, if you watch Superman and Lois, they're actually redeeming him, right, which is awesome. Have you seen that yet, Chris?
No, I haven't.
Chris, you need to watch Superman and Lois.
It's HBO Max Feel.
Wait,
Chris, that premiere episode is going to be like, oh, this is what you're doing with
Back
Superman.
and watch all Supergirl episodes now?
You don't have to, but you can watch the ones with Superman in them, and then go back and watch Superman and Lois. You'll be like, oh, they're doing him like this? That's kind of disrespectful. But anyways, no, Superman and this, how they use him in that short period of time. Just being in the middle of the movie for a short period of time was a perfect way to use Superman, okay? Like, you brought him back, he was confused, you gotta fight him. But again, how he was able to understand his place in all this. He's like, okay, like, the world depends on me, and the team needs me, and, I got a second chance, and my family, I'm all about my family. It's just like, just hearing the two dads say how much we care about you, son, in their own way, and how much the world needs you in their own way. It's like, now fly, son. When he does that, I'm getting goosebumps right now just talking about it.
I was cheering.
He says, now fly, son. And he does that, and the music popped on for a second. I'm like, I'm back in Man of Steel again. Like, I'm thinking, oh my God. Kevin Costner can be my dad. Okay, let's go.
Well, the best part about also with Superman in this movie, I love when you're having what's Cyborg's dad's name?
Silas.
Well, when you're having Silas talk doing the voiceover in the epilogue, I love when it cuts to Superman when he pulls his shirt apart. You see he's embracing the black suit, and it's great because it's like, oh man, so he's embracing the black suit instead of the normal red and blue, and it's like that's great.
Yeah.
Why do you
again, like I said? Now fly, son. That's got to be my favorite. That's got to be one of my favorite lines in the movie. Like, I get so goosebumpy and emotional listening to those two dads talk to him while he's walking down the corridor, because those two men guided his hero journey to become Superman. And I love how Zack Snyder tied that into this film. He's like, hey man, you're reborn, so let's have the men in your life get you back on track to show you, okay, this is what your purpose here in life. Your purpose isn't just to be, Clark Kent, it's just to be Kal-El. You're there to change the world, and the world's going to embrace you, and just show them who you are. They're ready for you.
Yeah, because you see in BVS, he's put on trial. Like, people hate Superman. So he's like, why would I fight for these people? They want me dead anyway. They want me in the grave. Like, what's the point? So it takes that change in behavior and thinking from his mentors, from his father figures, to actually get him to be like, no, I stand for hope, and I got to give that to people. Even if they don't want it, they'll realize it.
Yep. And with his death, they really understood, hey, we really did need Superman. That's why even in that Superman Returns movie, she writes the article, Why the World Doesn't Need Superman, made no sense. Superman is that hope that the world needs, and that beacon that the world needed. And clearly, the beacon that the world needs to protect them from the intergalactic, space aliens that, who else is going to defend them? You need a Superman. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what I mean. Supergirl, the show is what it is, but she talked about before in it. The symbol that they both wear, that stands for hope. So, it's such a great part of his character. And I mean, hey, at the end of the day, both the guys' dads are Russell Crowe and Kevin Costner. You can't get much better than that. I mean, it's great, but yeah, I think his character did really well, or was really well developed in this movie. And again, like you said, Milton, it's not his character sure wasn't in the movie a ton,
Right.
but it's almost the Darth Vader effect. Like, when he's there, you know he's there. And when, you don't get him in every single shot of the movie for him to have an amazing impact on the movie itself. And that's how Star Wars uses Darth Vader. He was barely in the original trilogy, but he's still arguably the most iconic villain ever.
Yeah, he was effective.
Yeah, he was effective. So just like this with Superman, he's effective. Like, they use him when they need to, and then that's all they do.
Yeah, what I really also enjoyed about this is the progression of the plot of the understanding of what's going on with the heroes. Where are they going? They find out what this villain is doing. Then they got to find out what to defeat him. And there was one moment that really resonated with me when they're, I guess in Star Labs or somewhere at the moment, I forget where, but they were at this terminal, this like hologram system, and they were talking about the mother box, and they're like, yeah, the mother box can basically do whatever you want it to do. And they got onto the topic of resuscitating somebody back from the dead. And as soon as somebody brought that up, they all kind of looked at each other, and they all kind of came to the same conclusion of they had to resurrect Kal-El, they had to resurrect Superman. I thought that was really cool how like they all had the same thought at the same second, and it like his suit like appeared on the hologram. I thought that was a really cool scene.
Yeah. Well, what's nice about that scene, this is one of the major differences compared to the 17 version to now. In the 17 version, there's a lot of issues about that among the team. Because remember how Diana said, we shouldn't bring him back. You don't understand his technology.
Okay.
And Batman's like, no, we need to. And Barry Allen makes a joke about, if we bring him back, it's going to be Pet Cemetery version of him or whatever, which was a funny joke. But like, it was great to see that the team completely understood, no, we need him. Like, I don't care what it is. And Batman was like, oh, yeah, we need to do it. So I like how the team was somewhat in agreement with like this version of it because they understood Steppenwolf was a threat. That's the difference. Like Steppenwolf was an actual threat in this movie. So I think y'all understood we need him back, or if we don't, it's over for us.
It's called the movie's called The Justice League, and I think we see some really good team up coordination, action. They're going to break into Star Labs. You got Cyborg that turns on the alarm, and I like that little part where they're all having their own little missions to do, and then Silas comes up, sees them, and it's like, oh wait, no, you guys can remain evacuating. The alarm is definitely going off. Like he understood, like, oh, they're doing an important mission right now. We got to let them do their thing. But even going to the end, like everybody had their moments. Everybody had their own character moments. But they all shined together, especially in that fight against Steppenwolf. Like, that was a good battle when everybody was kind of doing their own thing. You had Batman that was infiltrating with that really cool airplane to take out the shield. And then Flash had to go around in circles to try to generate his speed up enough. And then you had Wonder Woman and everybody fighting Steppenwolf and the parademons and whatnot flying around. So it really felt like this concerted effort. And something that you would want to see from the Justice League. I think they nailed it.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I mean, and also in that scene, it's almost its own iconic character, the Batmobile. You get to see the Batmobile out in action. Like, that was awesome getting to see it. And even when it, like, crashed and was going down fighting, even when it crashed, it was still shooting at the parademons. Like, so it was really cool seeing that. Seeing that in action. And that's another thing I don't think we mentioned earlier when we were talking about things that were cut out from the original movie. But remember, for the first big fight sequence at the end, remember the Flash was kind of like, he had to run some of those like random like people out of that area.
Yeah.
The Russian family.
The Russian family, it's like, get that
Yeah,
crap
they're
out
gone.
of
Get
here.
that crap out of here.
It's like, we don't need that. So like that was totally cut, which I'm totally fine with.
Well, I like how they explain that this area was an irradiated area, so there should have never been anybody in there to begin with, which really led to a lot more of a grander epic scale of a battle, because you're literally seeing buildings like collapse and stuff because, we could do as much destruction as we want because there is no civilians, so we could just have like this crazy chaotic battle and we don't have to worry about rescuing civilians. We're doing our best to take out these villains without any collateral damage. So I thought it made sense, right? There wouldn't be people there. It's fallout from a freaking nuclear accident. It's not safe to live in there, so they could just have complete destruction.
Right? No, that makes sense. But I think that's amazing, like writing how they said like he even said the army doesn't even go in there, like the military doesn't go there. So to look back at that 2017 version, all those people in that village should have been mutated, like Quasimodo looking people.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, like what are we doing? But again, it made sense. The story made sense. And even Steppenwolf was like, oh, that's toxic. Like he smells it.
Yeah.
And he uses that to build his bait. Like I'm like, it's just smart. It's smart to explain why there's no civilians there. Now, I do have a question for you guys about, potential villains down the road besides Darkseid. Do you think another, like we did like a part 2 and 3, because I'm assuming like part 2 would be the build up to more Darkseid eventually, and then part 3 would be all Darkseid or whatever they want to do. What are your idea of Darkseid reaching out to Brainiac in some way, shape, or form?
I just thought of Brainiac as the villain, so I'm down for that.
Because I feel like Brainiac's one of those villains that would be a major one that you'd have to team up again with.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think you could see Brainiac has a potential. Obviously, Darkseid will be in there,
right?
But down the road, also like it really factors into how they're going to do things, because we could do Justice League. See, that's the really smart way this movie ended as well. So we have this movie ending. Batman's still being college football coach recruiting until the very end. So we saw that, but that could be like we could put in these movies. We can skip the Darkseid stuff for literally like 5 years if you want. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna see Justice League 2 tomorrow, but we could skip the Darkseid stuff for the next 5 years. We could literally have a Batman versus Deathstroke type movie. We could have a some type of a Flash build-up movie, some type of something with Cyborg, given I don't know if Ray Fisher will be back, but that's a different story altogether.
I think he will.
I don't know.
I see him saying a lot of positive things about the Snyder cut, so
I think that could save him, but I don't know. I think when you go at your company, I think that's hard to come back from. Like John Boyega with Disney, I don't know about that. But speaking of that, side note, my best friend, my friend Alex, we were talking about it. If anybody recast Ray Fisher, John Boyega would be a perfect Cyborg. But anyway, so like you have these movies, like you don't have to go straight into Justice League 2 if you don't want to. You could do 3 or 4 movies building up. Like you could literally do Batman, another Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash. You can literally do all these heroes movies. Another give us Man of Steel 2 in that timeline. And then have all those movies kind of leading up to Justice League 2 and building up to that. You have that potential build-up aspect. Like we don't have to jump the gun right into Justice League 2. You can have these separate side missions.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't say specifically at the end of this movie, hey, we're all heading straight to fighting Darkseid. Like it's like semantics. You can play around with the way the end of the movie was. So there's plenty of options they could go. They could potentially use for their next projects. So I think there's a lot of options on the table. It just matters, what direction they want to go. Really, when it comes to all of this stuff.
Yeah, I think what would be neat is to have some kind of human-focused Justice League battle. Remember, Lex Luthor is free now. He recruited Deathstroke. I could see Lex Luthor, like, in the comics, you see him with, like, one of those, like, crazy mech suits and stuff. Like, I could see that happening for like Justice League 2 or something. Like have that. I would also like to see this battle that's been years in the making between the people of Atlantis versus the people of Themyscira. I would love to see like this big like have Aquaman versus Wonder Woman. Have like a Civil War-esque style DC movie. You have people on each side. Flash on one side, you got, Cyborg on another. And then you have to have a movie. We're getting a Green Lantern series. So maybe once that series is, and it could be years in the making if they're making a series, but maybe like that's how you get the Green Lantern into the Justice League is through that series first. Then you have Martian Manhunter. So I would like the idea of like Justice League 2. Every Justice League movie adds more members of the Justice League so that by the time they build up, because they're going to still be recruiting, now they have to see who they're fighting. It's like, oh, this is no joke. We have to still recruit. Justice League will have like 12 members by the time they get the dark side.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to go about doing it. One of the best memes in regard to recruiting I saw in the past couple of days was it was like, oh, so you have the events of Man of Steel 2, Wonder Woman 84, Aquaman, Batman vs Superman, all the events of Justice League, the Snyder cut, all this stuff, and here's Martian Manhunter. I'm just over here hanging on the beach, guys. Have fun with that. Like, he's just off in disguise. Like, but no, I think there's a lot of possibilities. I love seeing Martian Manhunter in this, like, just to see, especially when he went to go meet Lois, like when he had, when he turns around and you see his eyes light up, I was like, oh man, here we go.
Yep. I knew it right away. We also have Shazam. We also have a whole bunch of other characters in their own, solo movies that we haven't actually
Black Adam's coming out.
Black Adam, yeah. Oh, apparently the one Asian actor that got promoted to be like the head of the Star Labs, he's apparently, people are saying he's supposed to be the Atom.
Yeah, that's Ryan Choi.
Yep.
Oh, okay. See, I'm not familiar with that specific character because after watching Legends of Tomorrow, it's Ray Palmer.
Ray Palmer, yeah.
So there's another version of the Atom. Okay.
Well, from my understanding, Choi is basically like Ray Palmer's like almost like apprentice, I guess you would say. Like he basically learned pretty much a lot of the stuff from Ray, and that's kind of like how that's potentially going to develop. From I was looking into it a little bit.
So it's almost like the relationship with Hank Pym and Scott Lang with the Ant-Man. Kind of.
Yeah. That's pretty much my understanding of it. Is Ray Palmer's basically like that to Choi.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of like the direction of where they would go with that. And then, like I said, there's so many little things like that in this movie. It's crazy, just for being like a recut, different version of the 2017 version. All these little things that were added, that are in this. It's crazy. And then I love the fact, like you said, Milton, earlier about one of your favorite parts, the whole Stryker Island sequence. I love that they had that in this movie as well, just because that's been throughout all of like the DC lore. Like, it's been all throughout Arrowverse. Like you had them go to Stryker's Island and the Green Arrow. In Supergirl, they've been there plenty of times. Like, that's been like a key spot for all these DC properties actually. So it's cool just seeing like the Justice League go there as well.
Huh. Yeah, and I like at the end. I mean, this was an original Justice League, but they go to the table and they're like, oh, this needs to be a bigger table or more seats around the table. So that just dawned on me, like, yeah, they're still definitely recruiting people at that point. But starting to wrap things up here, I just want to quickly rank, like off the top of the head, just like rank, where does Justice League, Zack Snyder's fit in with all the other DCEU movies that we've gotten since from Man of Steel? Like, we're vaguely, can you place it in between? Let's try to work through that. So I'll start with.
I think there's 9 films total so far. I think out of all of them, maybe 10. But I probably rank this one as my third favorite. Behind Man of Steel and BVS, the Ultimate Edition. I like
Wonder Woman's
probably
tied for
three.
Justice League.
Justice League I think is better than that one.
I think the Zack Snyder's Justice League for me is number 3. Then BVS is number 2, Ultimate Edition, and then Man of Steel. There's something about this movie that I just thoroughly enjoy every time I watch it. And this could easily be number 1 or 2 for me. That's why, like, to me, it's hard to rank it. Overall, I just like how the story was tight. I love the 4-hour cut. I love how the story was tight. I love the improvement of the villain. I love the more character development we got with the main like Cyborg and his dad and Superman and even Steppenwolf's development. And overall, the world building. I think that wasn't touched upon enough in our discussion, but the world building of this film really put it over the top. So this is my top 3 for sure.
Okay.
I was going to say, I can echo those same sentiments, Milton. I would say it's in the top 3 for me as well. I would still say Man of Steel 1, then the Snyder Cut, and then probably either BVS Ultimate Edition or Wonder Woman would be my tie for 3 spot as well. I just like I said, I just think Man of Steel is a top 10 comic book movie ever. Not just in general. I just think it's one of the best all around movies ever. And I think that movie is one of the most misunderstood movies just because there was so much. I think a lot of people missed Zack Snyder's vision for that movie specifically, just because he was really trying to put a take on Superman, like what Superman would be in our real life world versus like the happy-go-lucky let me get a kitten out of a tree type thing. So I think that's why a lot of people had bad reactions to that movie. Initially, but yeah, I would have that one, and then the Snyder Cut too, and I could easily make an argument for the Snyder Cut being one as well.
Yeah, Snyder Cut could be number 1 for me, but I don't want to say that just yet, just because I've only watched it once, and after having this discussion, I definitely want to watch it sometime maybe this week, for sure, but. I would say it's probably like, I don't know. I still love Aquaman so much just for the fact that I just love the ocean to begin with, and then the fact that it like mixes like Lord of the Rings with Star Wars with the laser beams and everything, and just the tight story of, and of course you have Jango Fett in there. So I mean, how could you not have Jango Fett and Boba Fett in there?
Aquaman's fire too. That one. Yeah, Aquaman's up there for me too.
So I got that. So it'd probably be like Aquaman, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and maybe the original Wonder Woman. I think that one really like pushed the boundaries for storytelling. Especially I love like World War I, World War II. So seeing a story set in that with a superhero was just freaking awesome. But it's hard to choose honestly, because like ever since I think it was Aquaman. Ever since that came out, I believe that every other movie since then has really hit pretty hard. Shazam, thought that was actually a really great movie, a really fun, lighthearted approach, but still really solid nonetheless. Then we got, I think the next one was probably Birds of Prey, right? After that,
I low-key like Birds of Prey.
I like it a lot.
Yeah,
I thought everybody did a really good performance acting-wise, and the story was straightforward, but again, the villain was one of the better villains I've seen.
I actually need to watch Shazam again. Like, I watched Shazam once, and I thought that movie was solid. But I don't know if it's on HBO Max right now.
Oh,
I'm not sure if it is, because I scrolled through there. I didn't search too hard. I literally just opened HBO Max both times and clicked the Snyder Cut. So, but I didn't see Shazam. It might be, I'm sure it will be. It might not be just because maybe licensing or something.
Right.
Something or other. But I think overall they've made a really good slate of movies. It's just DC's dealt with they've dealt with being around Marvel right now. Like Marvel has done such a good job with their build up of their films. And they set the standard. So then DC almost felt like they were trying to play catch up. and I think now they're heading in the right direction. And also I think a lot of people are starting to almost look back on their movies and be like, oh wow, this was actually a pretty good movie. Like Man of Steel, like I said, with that movie, that didn't have great audience reaction initially, but now it's like really loved by a lot of people. And I think a lot of these movies will continue to build overall rewatchability value and things like that. To make DC gain more traction and potentially get us another Justice League and all these other character movies we were talking about. In my opinion, really the only major black mark on the DC movie spectrum is Suicide Squad. I think that movie is just a hot mess. But other than that, I think they've done really well for the most part with most of the movies. Like the BVS Ultimate Edition, like that made that movie much better in my opinion. And all the other movies that you guys mentioned as well were really good, like Birds of Prey and Aquaman was a lot of fun. And speaking of them, we've talked through this Snyder Cut as a whole. But I don't think we mentioned it in this review. But seeing Steppenwolf like battle underwater, like that whole sequence with the Atlanteans, like that was great. I don't know. It's really cool. Seeing the underwater stuff because I was nervous initially like going into Aquaman about that. But seeing even in this movie, I love the way they continue. Like anytime the characters are talking underwater, like when Aquaman's meeting with whoever the guy was, whatever his name was, when they're meeting Falco, yeah. I love when they're meeting underwater. Like you have like the echoey water sound, like you're actually underwater. Like I don't know. I just love those effects so much.
I don't know if they because I thought that was like groundbreaking technology for Aquaman, so I'm not sure if they like went back and those were reshot scenes or something. They had to have been, I think.
No, they used that in the original Justice League between Mera and Arthur. They used it before.
That's that's exactly why I like Aquaman so much. I think it's incredible. But looking on the slate, I just looked on HBO Max because, hey, we get to watch another DC movie at home if you want, because it looks like in August is when The Suicide Squad, not to be confused with Suicide Squad, is coming out by James Gunn. So if anybody can fix what was broken in that original Suicide Squad, I would have a high confidence that the guy that did Guardians of the Galaxy can do it because, he's also dealing with another squad of people or another gang of people, and he does those ensemble films pretty good.
Here's the thing. If James Gunn can make Polka Dot Man like somewhat cool, then you know he's going to be a good movie. If he makes Peacemaker somewhat relevant, and don't tell me you know who Peacemaker was before this. You didn't. If you make him relevant and they're getting the series at one point, you know he's doing something right. So I trust that movie's going to be good. I just trust that DC is in a good place right now. I think a lot of our wish list right now. If we can get some type of Batman film or miniseries with him and Deathstroke. If we get that, I think it's going to make everyone feel good right now because we need more Ben Affleck.
Oh yeah. I think it's without a doubt. Everybody's just unanimous and like, we need more Ben Affleck, and Ben is going to like look at this and be like, maybe I should go back.
Ben, we'll pay you $50 million a pop. Come on, Ben, we'll take care of you.
For sure. Like, this movie says a lot too about someone like me, because I was kind of mixed on Ben Affleck as Batman initially. Like, it's kind of like I don't know about this.
He's so good as Bruce Wayne. Like, I'm sorry. Every time I look at him, I think of a comic. That's a comic book version of Bruce Wayne.
I totally agree. But this movie, I think, really helped. I think that helped his character more personally for me. Buying him as Batman and Bruce Wayne and all that. Like, I think he did a really good job. And it's not even like. I think most of the Batman have all been pretty good for the most part. Like, it's hard. Like, whenever I see these ranking lists, like, it's like, which Batman is the best? Like, you can make an argument for so many of them. Like Christian Bale was great. Like I always say, Michael Keaton, I think, is perfect. But. Ben Affleck's really grown on me as Batman, and I definitely want to see more of him. Whether it be like you said, a series or a movie or in the next Justice League or whatever we see him in. I think he could be a really good addition to it all. Like you said, Chris, maybe maybe with all these positive reviews, it'll help his confidence in all of this stuff. Like, maybe I should do this, and maybe it'll get Ben Affleck to sign back on.
Yeah.
Because
Chris.
yeah.
Chris,
Michael Keaton.
right. Batman Beyond, that'd be tight. Chris, before we wrap up, I want to say this. If it comes out to where we're getting a part 2 or part 3 to Justice League, or we're getting a Batman movie or a series with him, Ben Affleck, we need to do a live stream. I'm saying it right now. Talk about that news. So book it right now. When those announcements eventually come, if they do come, we're getting on a live stream and talk about those things.
All right.
I'm just throwing out in the universe. Put it out there.
Milton's taking over as producer for this channel.
Sorry, dude. I'm just trying to get the Listen, I need my Batfleck. I need my Justice League Part 2 and 3.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Final thoughts on Justice League before we get out of here tonight.
Go ahead, Ben.
Okay. I would say it's a really good movie as a whole. You know, if you're out there watching or listening to this podcast, I mean, by now, I hope you've seen the movie. If you watched this podcast for the last hour, 2 hours, but if you haven't, like, give it a chance. Like, if it's 4 hours seems like it's too much for you, just think, hey, I watched Avengers Endgame a couple years ago, and that was basically 3 hours. But or just break it up into parts, like we mentioned. Watch part 1, and then so on and so on over an entire week span. Watch it as a series. Like you said, this is the time of binging shows. Everybody sits down and binges all these shows. Literally. I have friends who sit down like on Saturdays. That's all they do. They wake up at 10 in the morning. Since it's their day off, and they binge from 10 a.m. to midnight. And I'm like, holy cow! But then you're like, oh no, it's a 4 hour movie.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
4 episodes. That's 4 episodes of your show. So I don't think I really do not think the time length is an argument whatsoever. But I think this movie, like I said, was really good as a whole. It did really well for all the characters. And it just really built or solidified more that Zack Snyder really knows what he's doing. And I was talking to my buddy about this yesterday. Everybody talks about like these comic book movies like BVS and Man of Steel and this movie now and Wonder Woman, all these movies Zack Snyder's been involved in. But everyone forgets one of my most favorite movies he's ever been involved in wasn't comic book related. It was 300. And 300 is phenomenal. Like, if you've never seen that movie, go and watch it right after this stream, because that movie is great. And that's just an example. Like, he knows what he's doing as a filmmaker, as a storyteller. So it's like we need to see more of the Zack Snyder universe, like the whole hashtag restore the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
Like, let's get it trending.
Yeah.
Because I think he really knows the direction. I think he should be the quote unquote like the Kevin Feige of DC.
I think at this point, 3 movies down, he's gotta have that kind of power, I think, with DC, because it's unanimous. This thing is getting higher scores than any other DC movie ever, I'm pretty sure. Well, maybe Wonder Woman could be higher, but that would probably be the only one that would probably come close, I'm guessing.
I would guess because Wonder Woman was very high. Man of Steel was mixed. So that's not in the mix. I think it's just Wonder Woman and this are the 2 highest.
And then I think Aquaman and Shazam might be up there too, like third and fourth. Yeah. So my thoughts. I'll just keep it brief and simple. This is the movie that the fans wanted. Yeah. It's the movie that the fans deserved, and it's the movie that should have been released 4 or 5 years ago. I've said it earlier in the stream. I'll continue to say it now. This would have made $1 billion easily. Okay, because it's rewatchable. The story is strong. It's tight. You got more character development. And Zack Snyder was finally able to tell the version he wanted to tell. I think if you are skeptical of this movie because of the drama behind it, because of the quote unquote Snyder cult, whatever,
That's not. That's not. It's nothing to do with that. This movie is what it is. Watch this film. It's a different type of superhero movie. It's something that's needed. It's something that's well done. So if I had to rank this out of 10, it'd be a 9.5 out of 10. And only that 0.5 is because of little stuff. But it's not major. It's a perfect film in my opinion. So I enjoy it. The fans seem to be enjoying it. I just hope we get more of this. Warner Brothers, HBO Max, Warner Media. Please pay attention. This is what the fans want. This is what we need. Allow Zack Snyder and these filmmakers to make their films. Yes, if you want to put your 2 cents in it, by all means you can. But let these creative men and women do what they're born to do.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you there. And just to throw my score in there real quick, I agree with you, Milton. 9.5 out of 10, easy. Just some little things here and there. Other than that, it was a perfect movie. And then also to throw out there, one of the most touching moments wasn't even any of the content. It was at the end, like the whole end memory of Zack Snyder's daughter. I was like, oh man, just seeing that, it was touching. They let him put that at the end of the movie, But yeah, I would have to say this is a 9.5 out of 10.
Excellent. Quickly, my thoughts. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see that there's this really distinction between the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DC Extended Universe, because you can clearly see it with this Justice League versus any Marvel movie. So again, I don't want to hear that kind of negative stuff about I'm superhero fatigued, right? Because you got completely different animals you're dealing with here. 4 hours, it's crazy for me to say, hey, I want to go back and watch a 4-hour movie again. Like, that's insane. I'm saying that more than I've ever said for any other DC movie. I've never felt like really, really compelled to watch another DC movie like immediately again after I seen it the first time. It's like I've seen Aquaman twice, but that was like months separated in between because it came on to HBO or something like that. But no, I want to go back and watch this thing ASAP, and that's because you said the world building, Milton, how mythic it is, how I said about each character getting their chance to shine, the character arcs of these people really going through something, seeing origin stories done so well when all this other stuff is going on. It's just a miracle that Zack Snyder and everybody involved pulled that off to tell this cohesive story and tell it the way that it was meant to be told. And I'll be honest, it's just like a travesty that the 2017 one was ever released, because it's like immediately there's like such negative connotations surrounding like Justice League, and now it's unfortunate that like Warner Brothers has to win back all these people that were just so scorned by like their favorite characters being done so poorly. And it wasn't just because it wasn't really Joss Whedon's fault completely. It was probably a mixture of like a whole bunch of circumstances, so I don't know if you can blame one person in particular. But it just sucks that that's how things went down. But hopefully, like we keep saying, the buzz is super positive. People are going to get on board, because I think this thing is worthy of watching. I really think it's worth your time. Again, yeah, 4 hours, but you guys probably have watched 4 episodes of a show in a row, and that's the same thing that's going on. There's parts that separate it. You can take breaks. You don't have to watch it all in one sitting. So just go ahead and watch it, and my score, like I said at the beginning, is a 9 out of 10. I have my review. It's a quick 5-minute review. If you want to see my thoughts like more concisely in that video, you can check it out. But other than that, we're gonna wrap it up here. Obviously, we had a lot to say about this movie. We all enjoyed a heck of a lot, because we've been talking for over 2 hours about a Justice League movie, and for me to talk about something like that that's not Star Wars means that it has really does something special. So that tells you a lot right there, right? So with that being said, guys, thanks for everybody joining live. I guess I'm kind of committed to doing some kind of live reaction if there ever is an announcement. So keep your eyes on that. But in the future, we're gonna do more videos like we have been and together, and you guys will definitely know when we plan on doing another live stream or something of that nature that might not be Star Wars all the time. We'll see how it goes. But with that being said, you guys can subscribe to the channel here simply by hitting that red button, and that way you'll never miss when something like that goes out. That's gonna do it for me, Milton. For Ben, you guys can follow them with their information underneath their heads there. Real Ben Maynard on Twitter and Milton Weber 7 on Twitter, and of course me on Twitter at Star Raptor. So that's gonna do it for me, for Ben, and for Milton. Thanks everybody for watching, and until next time, have a good one.